It's interesting that this is one of Bach's most popular keyboard works. Of course, Gounod later superimposed the melody to this piece in his famous Ave Maria, which added to the popularity, I'm sure. Whilst technically simple, it doesn't appear to be a piece full of variety and colour. A quick glance across the pages shows a very repetitive piece, limited in both keyboard range and thematic ideas. You may also have noticed that your score is without any dynamic markings whatsoever. This is not untypical when finding scores of an earlier era. Many academics will refer to an urtext edition of a score. Now, that's to say one that gives only the precise information found on the composer's original handwritten score without adding or taking anything away. All of these factors make this a perfect opportunity for us to explore the world of interpretation. Now, as you might expect, there are different approaches. The scholarly approach would be the preferred one, of course, for an aspiring concert pianist. However, on the assumption you're playing for pleasure, I think a more intuitive approach is allowable here. Now, it's good to begin by listening to some recordings. YouTube is an invaluable online resource of both audio and visual recordings. As a starting point, I'd recommend you search for the following 3 versions and note how all 3 are very different in their approach. The first one, Andras Schiff, who is known for his Bach interpretations. Now, this particular version of the Prelude is notable by its simplicity and unfussy approach. Another version is Kenneth Gilbert. This is a version for harpsichord, and it's good to remind ourselves just how Bach would have heard this piece of music. Finally, Glenn Gould, the infamous, controversial and sometimes eccentric Canadian pianist. This is a particularly interesting approach with its very distinctive phrasing and almost mechanical timing. As a performer, his interpretations often met with both criticism and praise. So at the very least, with just these 3 examples, we can begin to see the wide scope of interpretation that this piece has inspired. Different speeds, phrasings, dynamics, all apparently acceptable. So if there's a musical journey or a story to unfold, what clues must we look for to find our interpretation? Well, the 3 key elements to music are melody, harmony, and rhythm. Essentially, as already mentioned, there's very little developing interest from either a melodic or a rhythmic point of view with this piece of music. It uses a very repetitive pattern, almost like a keyboard exercise for virtually the entire piece. This therefore really only leaves us with the harmony as being the true point of interest or diversity. So it would be good to listen closer to the harmony and perhaps imagine a storyline or a conversation with all of its inflections that could reflect the harmonic mood. Nowadays, very few of us are strangers to the musical vocabulary used in film and television. That's why, unbeknown to many, we're already familiar with musical examples.